Right now, somewhere in your yard, there's a weed Thomas Edison turned into car tires. There's another that heals wounded soldiers on the battlefield. And there's one so toxic, it can quietly wreck your kidneys. Yet people ate it for years. These 12 native herbs come back on their own every single year, and almost nobody knows what they're hiding.
People in the 1700s had green tea and black tea, just like you can get today. Most of the tea they threw into the Boston Harbor was a type of Chinese black tea called bohea. Sort of has a smoky fragrance and taste to it, a little more strong, a little different than what you might be used to today. But one of the reasons that coffee became increasingly popular was the rejection of British imported tea in this period.
Let's start way down at number 12, Anise hyssop.
Anise hyssop is a perennial flower native to North America. Native to the dry regions of the upper Midwest and Canada, it's become established in other states through escaping cultivation. But this flower is really a must-have in any garden that is looking for a low-maintenance, showy bloomer that will bloom for months on end while attracting numerous beneficial insects like bees, butterflies, and even hummingbirds, all at the same time. Outside of dealing with some self-seeding and cutting the dead flower stalks back in the spring, you can just sit back and enjoy this drought-tolerant plant in its bluish purple or lavender blooms.
Don't let the fancy name trick you, because this plant isn't anise and it isn't hyssop. It's a mint family plant native to the Great Plains, and it comes back on its own every year, even in the cold northern states. Native tribes brewed its leaves into a sweet, licorice-flavored tea and drank it for coughs and chest colds. And the Cheyenne even carried it into their sweat lodges. But this is what makes gardeners fall in love with it. One single plant can pump out around 90,000 tiny flowers in one season. Old beekeeping records say a single acre of it could feed 100 honeybee hives. And beekeepers back in the 1800s swore their bees liked it more than clover. So while you sip that tea, the bees throw a party in your backyard. That part sounds calm and pretty. But the plant coming up next got dragged onto real battlefields, and it earned a nickname soaked in blood. Up next at number 11 is yarrow.
Yarrow is a hardy, drought-tolerant perennial. It is incredibly easy to grow from seeds, and it has so many benefits. It is a great companion plant for your vegetables, and pollinators love it. Both flowers and leaves can be made into essential oil or tea for medicinal purposes.
Yarrow passes for a dainty little roadside flower, but its real history is brutal. Its scientific name is Achillea millefolium, named after Achilles, the Greek warrior, because the legend says he packed it onto his soldiers' wounds to stop the bleeding. That's why people called it soldier's woundwort for hundreds of years. The millefolium part just means 1,000 leaves, for its soft, feathery leaves. This is a tough plant that grows from the beach all the way up to 11,000 feet in the mountains, and it returns every year on its own. When Lewis and Clark crossed the country, they collected yarrow out in Idaho back in May of 1806. Tribes across North America crushed it onto cuts and burns and brewed it into tea for fevers and colds.
One of the things I love about yarrow is it's an astringent, and it can help promote the stopping of bleeding, which is wonderful. You can chew it up, pack it right on there, and it will help that, so it'll stop the bleeding if you've got a pretty good gash. And it heals wounds and cuts, which is wonderful as well. A lot of times we make a salve out of the leaves to help with that, or you can chew those leaves right up and put it right on a bleeding wound, which is great.
One quick warning though, it's toxic to dogs, cats, and horses, so keep your pets out of the patch. A plant that healed soldiers but hurts your dog is strange enough on its own. However, our next plant is named after a fever so brutal that people swore their bones were cracking apart. That fever brings us straight to number 10, boneset.
What you're looking at right now is called boneset. This is a very medicinal plant. This plant is extremely good for colds and flus. It's also good for bone bumps, like if you get a bruise or on your bone, or maybe you've got like arthritis or something. This plant is really good for that.
The name sounds like it sets broken bones, but that's not where it comes from at all. Back in the 17 and 1800s, there was a nasty illness called breakbone fever, which we now call dengue, and it hurt so badly that people felt their bones were cracking apart. Boneset was the plant settlers grabbed to break that fever and sweat it out, and Native Americans taught them how. This plant grows 3 to 6 feet tall in wet ground, with leaves so joined together that the stem seems to stab right through them. People trusted boneset so much that it stayed in the country's official drug rulebook from 1820 all the way to 1900. During the deadly 1918 flu that killed millions, scared families brewed it all over again. But don't go drinking it for fun, because big doses will make you throw up hard. A plant that fought a fever for 80 years sounds almost magic. Still, the most surprising healer on this whole list is waiting just ahead. Stranger than all of them is number 9, self-heal.
Perennial vulgaris. It is most commonly known as self-heal or heal-all, and it goes by some other common names as well, such as blue curls, carpenter's plant, woundwort, heart of the earth, all heal, and a few others. During the summer months, this field is so abundant with this special little plant.
With a name like self-heal, you already know people expected miracles from it. Folks also called it heal-all, and they slapped it on cuts, sore throats, and just about everything else for hundreds of years.
Self-heal has been used for centuries as a medicinal plant for a wide range of wounds and ailments. In traditional Chinese medicine, it is considered a cooling herb, so it has been used to take heat out of the liver, for eye inflammation, fevers, kidney ailments, and for swellings of the thyroid, breasts, and neck.
There's a North American version of this little mint family plant that hugs the ground and comes back year after year, and bumblebees go crazy for its purple flowers. For the longest time, scientists figured that old heal-all name was just wishful thinking. But then a lab study back in 1999 found something odd. A natural chemical pulled from self-heal actually stopped the herpes virus from spreading in a dish in the lab, both the cold sore type and the other one. Now that's a lab result, not a cure sitting in your flower bed, so don't get carried away. Still, it's wild that a weed your grandparents trusted on a pure hunch turned out to do something real under a microscope. A plant that quietly fights a virus is impressive enough. And what comes next feeds more insects than almost any plant in North America, and the count is honestly ridiculous. So we land on number 8, mountain mint.
Well, it's a native perennial wildflower that blooms in small clusters of white flowers and is native to the eastern United States from Texas to Illinois and then eastward to the Atlantic Ocean. Scientifically, it's known as Pycnanthemum muticum, but it also goes by several other common names like clustered mountain mint or short-toothed mountain mint.
If you want your yard buzzing with life, this is the plant you put in the ground. Penn State ran a 3-year study comparing 86 different plants to see which one bugs loved the most, and mountain mint smashed the competition. In 1 year of testing, mountain mint pulled in more than 78 different kinds of insect visitors, while the runner-up, a goldenrod, managed just 36. That's more than double the traffic. It's so good at feeding bees, wasps, butterflies, and beetles that experts named it Perennial Plant of the Year for 2025. But the best part for lazy gardeners is the smell. Mountain mint has such a strong minty kick that deer and rabbits can't stand it, so they leave it alone while everything else in your garden gets chewed to the ground. So it feeds the good bugs and scares off the hungry ones at once. That combo is rare in one plant. And the plant after it carries a story that runs straight into a modern court deal with a Native American nation. From there, we roll into number 7, Sochan.
Sochan, oftentimes known as the cut-leaf coneflower, is actually part of the sunflower family. And it's been said that Sochan actually reaches all the way up through the Appalachian region, all the way up into Maine. Some say it's even made its way to the upper Midwest.
You probably know this plant as green-headed coneflower, a tall plant that shoots up toward 10 feet near streams and comes back strong every spring. But to the Cherokee, it's sochan, and it's been a sacred spring green on their plates for generations. They pick the young leaves, boil them, then fry them up, and it's still on the menu today. And the wild part is what happened in 2019. Sochan grows inside Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where picking wild plants is normally flat-out banned. But that year, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians signed a deal with the park that let their members legally gather sochan inside its borders, with 36 permits a year and a season running from March 1st to May 31st. And the researchers found something beautiful. The Cherokee way of picking it actually made the plants grow more stems and more flowers, not fewer. Just don't eat it raw, because the raw and older plants can be toxic. A green that gets healthier when you harvest it is rare. However, what's coming isn't just food, because whole nations treat it as sacred. Right at the halfway mark sits number 6, sweetgrass.
This plant goes by the name Hierocloa odorata, more commonly known as sweetgrass. This is a plant that, although it's most commonly associated with native practices here in the Americas, it actually grows in North America, Northern Europe, and even some parts of Northern Asia. It is considered to be circumboreal, meaning it has a band that grows around the entirety of the Arctic Circle. So it's not just a Native American plant, interestingly enough.
Some plants feed your body, but this one feeds something a lot deeper. Sweetgrass is a tall native grass that many indigenous nations across North America treat as one of their 4 sacred medicines, right next to cedar, sage, and tobacco. People braid it, dry it, and burn it slowly in ceremonies, letting the sweet smoke clear and bless a space. And that sweetness is real chemistry, not just poetry. The grass is packed with a chemical called coumarin, which gives off a soft vanilla smell the second you cut it. Its old nickname is the grass that never dies, because even after you dry it out completely, that scent can hang around for years. A famous book by Robin Wall Kimmerer called Braiding Sweetgrass carried its story to millions of readers around the world. Careful though, that same coumarin can hurt you in big amounts, so this is a plant to braid and smell, not to brew and drink. A plant treated as sacred smoke stands tall on its own. Yet the next one was once eaten just like ginger, until scientists found it was quietly poisoning people. Things get risky at number 5, wild ginger.
Wild ginger is no relation to the commercially cultivated Indonesian ginger. Asarum canadense is a shade-tolerant woodland ground cover native to North America. It has heart-shaped leaves, fuzzy stems, and the bell-shaped flowers hang out below the leaves because they are advertising for pollinators who crawl rather than fly.
This one looks completely innocent, a low plant that carpets shady forest floors and comes back every year all by itself. Early settlers dug up its root, smelled that warm, spicy, gingerish scent, and started using it as a cheap stand-in for real ginger in their cooking. The catch is that wild ginger isn't related to real ginger at all. It belongs to a totally different plant family, and that family hides a nasty secret. Wild ginger holds a chemical called aristolochic acid, and modern science has tied that chemical to serious kidney damage and even cancer. That's why both the US FDA and Health Canada now warn people flat out to never eat it. So for hundreds of years, families flavored their food with something slowly wrecking their insides, and nobody had a clue. The good news is, it's still a gorgeous, easy ground cover. Just grow it, enjoy those heart-shaped leaves, and never put it in your mouth. A tasty plant that turned out to be toxic is a real gut punch. Then comes a plant that literally started a rebellion at the dinner table. Our old tea rebel takes number 4, bee balm.
Scarlet bee balm Scientific name Monarda didyma is also known as crimson bee balm, Oswego tea, or bergamot. It's an aromatic herb native to eastern North America and spreads as far south as Georgia. It's called bergamot because it smells so much like the bergamot orange. In order to make the tea, we have to start by harvesting some of the leaves, and a few of the petals as well.
When the colonists got furious about British tea taxes and dumped all that tea into Boston Harbor, they had a brand new problem. They still wanted something hot to drink at night. So they turned to this bright red plant growing all around them. The Oswego people, near what's now Oswego, New York, had been brewing its leaves into tea for ages, and they showed the settlers exactly how to do it. That's why bee balm is still nicknamed Oswego tea to this day, and it became a proud stand-in for the British tea nobody wanted to buy anymore.
People in the 1700s had green tea and black tea just like you can get today. Most of the tea they threw into the Boston Harbor was a type of Chinese black tea called bohea. Sort of has a smoky fragrance and taste to it, a little more strong, a little different than what you might be used to today. But one of the reasons that coffee became increasingly popular was the rejection of British imported tea in this period.
Its proper name, Monarda, honors a Spanish doctor named Nicholas Monardus from the 1500s. But bee balm is also hiding real medicine in those leaves. It's loaded with thymol, the same germ-killing stuff they put in mouthwash, which is why people used it to fight infections. And if you grow it, get ready for a show, because hummingbirds and butterflies swarm those wild, spiky red flowers all summer long. A flower that fueled a tea rebellion is a fun story to tell. But the one after this might be the most famous miracle herb in America, and the truth about it is going to surprise you. Number 3 is that famous herb, echinacea.
Hi, I'm Charlie. If you're looking for a low-care perennial flower that does great in full sun, blooms midsummer to fall, and you really don't have to worry too much about it, look no further than echinacea.
You've definitely seen this one before, the purple coneflower, sitting in gardens and stuffed into cold and flu pills at every single pharmacy. It comes back every year, and its name comes from the Greek word for hedgehog, because that spiky center cone is just as prickly as one. There are 9 kinds of echinacea, and all of them grow wild only in North America. The U.S. government's own plant guide calls it the single most used medicine of the Plains Indians, who reached for it to treat toothaches, coughs, sore throats, and even snake bites. So surely all those modern pills must work, right? Well, this is the part that surprises everybody. In 2014, a giant review looked at 24 separate studies covering more than 4,600 people, and it found the proof that echinacea cures or stops colds is weak at best. The big health group that studies this says it's still unclear whether it even shortens a cold. So the plant is real and the history is real, but that miracle on the pharmacy shelf is mostly hope in a bottle. A famous herb that might not even work is a twist. After that comes a plant that bleeds bright red, and it hides a real dark side. The darkest one on the list is number 2, bloodroot. Snap the root of this little woodland plant, and it bleeds a thick blood-red juice, which is exactly how it got its creepy name. Native Americans used that red sap as a dye for baskets and skin, and as medicine too. And it pops back up faithfully every spring before the trees have even grown their leaves. But bloodroot carries a chemical called sanguinarine, and this is where it turns scary. Sanguinarine kills living flesh. In the 1800s, people mixed bloodroot into something called black salve and smeared it on their skin to supposedly burn tumors away. The problem is it doesn't pick and choose what it destroys. It eats healthy skin right along with everything else, leaving deep, ugly scars and craters, and it's still hurting people who fall for it online today.
This viral at-home cancer treatment can literally rot your skin off. Black salve, also known as yellow salve or compound X, is a corrosive chemical that can be applied to the skin and is often made with zinc oxide and bloodroot. It's known as an escharotic, meaning that it kills tissue and it literally makes it fall off.
There was even a bloodroot mouthwash sold for a while, until it got linked to strange white patches inside people's mouths and got yanked off the shelves. So plant it for those pretty white flowers, admire the red sap, and stop right there. A flower that doubles as a flesh-eating cream is hard to top, but the plant at the very top beats even that, because this one ended up wrapped around a car. And finally, at number 1, goldenrod. Every fall, millions of people sneeze and blame these bright yellow goldenrod flowers for their stuffy noses. But goldenrod is completely innocent. Its pollen is too heavy and sticky to even float through the air, because insects carry it, not the wind. The real villain is ragweed, an ugly green plant blooming at the same time, quietly tossing its pollen into the breeze, while goldenrod takes the blame every year. And goldenrod is actually one of the most important native plants we've got, feeding huge numbers of bees and butterflies right before winter. But the strangest part of its story is the rubber. Back in 1927, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Harvey Firestone each threw in $25,000 to find an American source of rubber, and Edison bet on goldenrod. He bred a giant version of it that gave up to 12% of its weight in pure rubber. Then Henry Ford gave Edison a Model T, and the tires on that car were made from goldenrod. So the weed you curse for your runny nose once rolled down the road as real car tires. Almost everybody walks past all 12 of these every year and never looks twice. So the next time you call something a weed, look closer. It might be food, medicine, or history growing right under your feet. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and stay curious.